ghosts even with cloak could own us right now, and that'd just be bad. This guy needs to be building ghosts. I don't know if that's, he's not yet, so it's lucky for us that he didn't. So I'm starting to get zealots. I realize that Blinkstalkers probably aren't going to win this game. They have Blinkstalkers as well, and Marauders, and Blinkstalkers are great, but they're not good against siege tanks and Marauders. So they're good against siege tanks. They're not so good against Marauders. Because the Marauders can mass up, and then even if you can blink in on top of them, it's not going to help all that much. So I have the Chrono Boost going down on the Psystorm. Always good to Chrono Boost that out. Also good to spawn in your Templar beforehand, just because they start with 50. They need to get to 75. It takes about 20 seconds for that to happen. So until that happens, they're just little civilians wandering around doing nothing. So as soon as I got this expansion up, I got guys in gas, because I knew that the Templar cost is just incredible, and so I'm trying to saturate this, but I'm not so worried about it because I've got 4 gateways and I'm only making Templar and Zealots, which is very low cost. I'm gonna probably be throwing down some more gateways soon. The standard thing is four gates per base is a pretty good number. If it's really late and you've been attacking and your macro is failing, you can just go ahead and throw down a ton of gates. And if you're in a really late game and you've got 200 food army, throw down 5-6 gates just out of nowhere, because whenever your army starts to die, you can just keep warping in, and it's the most effective thing about Protoss. So throwing down pylons all over the map, in case we lose this center, I still want to have the ability to warp in units back here so that we can get some kind of surround here. Both of the opponents are actually getting their expansions up too, so it looks like we've gone into a pretty solid macro game. Tank positioning is good, trying to make a little arc so that they can hit the focal point of that arc right there. Would like to see him. He's gone a build that doesn't require that much gas. With Terran, it's interesting. The Marine Marauder plays the one build that really doesn't require you to always take your gas. When I go Marine Marauder for a little 3 barracks push, I actually only take 1 gas, because you only need 1 gas to make Marauders out of 2 Raxes and get your upgrades. So throwing down a little pylon field because I'm supply blocked. Should be morphing this into a gateway or to a warp gate pretty soon. I'm still kind of low on gateways. You can see my money is pretty high up there. If we look at the army tab, everyone's about even. Cali being a little bit behind, but that's okay. Cali has stalkers. So not really the greatest thing to suicide your stalkers in when you have a zealot meat shield going on here. You can see Cali has lost the most units because Cali is awesome like that. And so these stalkers are actually going to be, this little army here is actually going to push us back, because we really don't have anything to deal with these immortals. And realizing that stalkers aren't going to win us this game, I've decided to go exclusively for Zealots and Templar now. So I morphed in only Zealots and stalkers there, because maybe I should have actually morphed in a Templar. I thought I didn't have the upgrade, but in fact I do. Yeah, see, I'm morphing it in. They start with 75 energy, so that's great. But a great counter to Immortals as Protoss, and people don't realize this, is Archons. You Storm, and Storm does its damage. It doesn't have to be a lot of damage, and then you morph to an Archon. And Archons have 300-ish health, but the most important thing is they are the most heavily healthed, I guess, unit for Protoss that does not take 50 damage from armored units, or 50 damage from mortals, shall I say. Colossus, not that great against immortals unless you have enough sentries to deal with put force fields down. Just because immortals do 50 damage to them, and the Colossus only do 20 damage a hit to their shields because they attack twice. But Archons are great because they have 300 health and they're psionic, which means that they don't take any extra damage from any unit. It's a little interesting thing to know that psionic units, or psionically armored units rather, don't take extra damage. And so this is a bad choke to be attacking from. I think that if they had moved in to attack, they would have done well. All these storms going down. Anytime you have a Marine Marauder ball on top of siege tanks, throw that storm right on there, because at worst you're gonna be hitting the tanks, since Psystorm lasts 3 seconds and tanks have to unsiege over 4 seconds. So you're going to be warping in units here and then not using them. Always good whenever you're in a freak situation. So you see, if you look at these Immortals, look at them working on these Archons, which actually have 350 health. They only take 20 damage a hit, and then their shields regenerate, so they're pretty much the perfect counter towards, for Mass Immortal. And Psystorm as well does great against the shields, just because it'll take out an Immortal Shields by 80 points, since it doesn't actually suffer any damage reduction because it's a damage over time. So Callie moving out with a little Friendship Cube. He's going to try and bring to the opponent and say, we don't need to fight anymore. So it looks like Topaz is realizing this game is still dead even, and he needs some kind of expansion going on. I think it was at this point where I realized that we needed to win this game by controlling the map, so I think I was looking to get my own expansion. There it is right there. And there's going to be one pesky Marine just sitting up here trying to patrol around as I send this probe over here. So I realized that there was a probe transfer occurring here, and so what I decided to do, I think I sent 2 of these Zealots, but only after, failing. Oh, and little Marauder drop, not going to see the light of day. Oh, good old Callie. Always love when you come back and see him just running his Zealots into shit. So, going to be taking a lot of damage here before I move in, but that is the power of Speed Zealots. They are pretty nasty meat shields. Archons are even better because they're so big that they absorb all of the siege tank's AE damage. And now we're just wrecking this army up. I don't know what they're going to be able to do. And see, in the meanwhile, I have not sent Zealots like I should have. I don't know what I was thinking. Yeah, there they are. There they're going right now. Send 2 Zealots. All I really got to do. Going to kill this Marine first. So Callie's moving in, just kind of suiciding, taking out that tank with the splash damage. I have a big army of Archons. I didn't get any upgrades this game, apparently. I had the Fordo. I'm working on +1 right now. Really not all that proud of myself for not having any upgrades. What I like to do when I go this build is go damage and then shield armor, because shield armor is just great in general because it regenerates, but it's great for the Archons because their shields regenerate, so if you have the armor on them, it just makes them that much more effective. Callie's going to be moving in here and just taking out this bunker. Marauders in a bunker are great, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of them. I like Marines in the bunker, even though when the bunker dies, it is nice to have Marauders popping out rather than Marines, because the Marauders are a hell of a lot less squishy. But I really think that Marines in a bunker, it's natural. It's what we did in StarCraft 1. It's what we should do in StarCraft 2. Anyway, going to be moving in, trying to take out this expansion. And right now, even though we haven't really got to the main base, we are pretty much in a commanding lead. I've taken out this expansion. I have my own 3rd expansion going up with absolutely no rally point on that Nexus. That's so wonderful. The no storm. I thought all those probes were going to move over, and we're just going to see a wave of storms. Ugh. Getting most of my Zealots there, but they have shields, so that's all fine and dandy. Little feedback on the medevac just to add insult to injury. So with these expansions taken out and these bases mined out, they're on no money, so it's pretty much just waiting for the GG. I like that game just because it was a lot of back and forth. You don't really see that often in 2v2s. You generally see the back and forth in 1v1s because it's a lot simpler of a game and it's easier to have evenly numbered forces, whereas in 2v2 a lot of stuff usually happens to make them imbalanced, and you usually see base races where one player is like dropping in the main, but then his base is getting taken out, and it's kind of crazy. I do like this guy's SimCity-age though. It's pretty nice. So there's the GG. Definitely an interesting game. I like it really accentuates how amazingly cheap and efficient Zealot High Templar is, just because on 2 bases, I mean, I had this 3rd base, but it really wasn't up all that well. I didn't even have these probes working. You can see how effective it is. I had, how many gateways is this? Jeez. Is that 10 gateways? Or, I don't know. 11 gateways. I had just essentially Zealots and Templar, and then I was morphing Archons with the Templar that got used up. And when I had 8 or more Templar, I would morph a couple Archons, because Archons are good. You don't have to use your Psystorm. If you want to Psystorm the air or critters and then morph, you can do that if it makes you feel better. But they're definitely good. They absorb tank shots. They kill things pretty well if they actually get in range of them. Getting in range is the problem, but when you have Speed Zealots to run up and take even more of the damage, then they can really actually get into range. And so altogether, pretty interesting game. All right, thanks for joining me, guys.